Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, hope you're all okay. I wanted to talk to you today just about some of the really tiny radios that are coming out onto the market at the moment and sort of gauge your opinion and sort of talk about my thoughts on them. So up until probably the early 2000s, amateur radio gear and handheld radios were quite large. Some of the ICOM stuff from the early 80s and 90s is pretty hefty. And it's only in recent years that the sizes of these radios have really come down. I've got a UV5R in front of me, which is sort of the staple bread and butter line for Bofeng, and this is pretty small. But what people tend to forget is when they talk about the portability and the size of these radios is that the Bofeng UV3R, which came out actually before it, and the V100 and V200 before that, is even smaller. And there's some Yaesu type radios that have been made that are as small as this, but these are really handy and really portable. And these were the first sorts of Chinese radios that were coming onto the market after the Yingtong and Puxing phase in the early to mid 2000s. So this was for a while the smallest sort of cheap handheld radio you could get on the market. But it seems that lately we've been flooded with more and more tiny radios, and the sizes of these things are actually getting a lot smaller, but while maintaining performance. So one of the next ones that came onto the market a couple of years later was this one that I have in front of me here, which is the Sainsonic RST567, and this is a really good radio. It has around 100 channels and it's really portable. It's got the spring type antenna in the top there, which is fixed, which is tiny. And this is a really good performing radio. It has a PTT monitor switch. You can fully program it. You've got volume controls and channel controls and then function controls on the front and a small display. Not quite as good as something like the Bofeng UV3R and not quite as small, but you can see it's still a back pocket type radio. The disadvantage with this is that the screen only displays channel numbers, and unless you can remember 100 channels off the top of your head, you are going to struggle to remember what you've programmed in. So that is one of the small downsides of this radio. Another thing with these radios is that they do need a charging base, which sort of reduces the portability of them a little bit. But that's one of the smaller radios that started to come out onto the market around 2014, 2015. The next ones which came out, which sort of took the radio community by storm really, is these ones, which is the WLN KDC1. And I've got two variants here, one black and one white. And these are amazing little radios. They are powered by the Nokia 31 or 3210 type battery in the back. And what's good about these is they don't need a charging base. They come with a charging base, but they are able to charge via micro USB, which is really handy. No display on these, but only 16 channels, so you can print your channels and stick them on the back or stick them inside in the back case, or keep them on your phone or keep them in your memory. But a really portable, handy back pocket radio, and you can see compared to the Bofeng UV5R how small this thing actually is. It's a lot smaller than an iPhone. I use the iPhone 7 and this is actually smaller. And this performs really well. It does have a fixed antenna, a stubby type antenna, which is non-removable, but it does perform well. I actually got 70 odd miles out of this into a repeater from some local high ground, and short range tests aren't too bad either. I've done videos on this which I'll put a link to in the description. So this WLN KDC1 is becoming more and more popular. Zastone dual model as well, and there are ones branded out there as Motorola, but buyer beware, they're not actually Motorola. But this is sort of revolutionary as a back pocket radio for its size and for its quality, and they're really good and cheap as well. Just while I'm thinking, we've got the Bofeng UV3R Plus here, which I'll throw into the mix. It's slightly bigger than the UV3R, but really portable and does have the dual display screen. This came out actually after the Bofeng UV5R, but this is another popular little radio and does have the full display. And what spurred me to actually do this video is the last radio which I'm going to show you, which I've just done a review on, which is the Bofeng T1, which is absolutely fantastic. And this sort of combines all of these together. So it's smaller than all of them. It's still portable, still has the fixed antenna. It has a flashlight, which these ones don't, and it also has a display readout, which you can see the frequency. So if you program channels into this, you can actually see the frequency you're on, and it does have some keypad buttons. So I just wanted to put that out there, guys, and just gauge your thoughts. What do you think of these tiny little radios that are coming out of China? They seem to be getting smaller and smaller and smaller without compromising on quality. And, you know, they're not the best radios in the world. I'm not going to sit here and say to you that they're better than some of the big brands, but they are definitely worth a shot. And if you've not got into these radios or used any of these radios, then, you know, have a look and see what you think. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised about how well they perform. I did a test with this and got 70 odd miles into a local repeater. Again, I'll put a link into the description with that. And it also does reasonably well, considering it has a stubby antenna in populated areas. So have a look, guys. These are really, really handy for taking out on the road, taking out camping, car-to-car communications, you know, handy to give to the kids or to keep in touch with the kids when they're playing out and stuff, so you know where they are. And they just seem to be getting smaller and smaller, and there are even smaller radios coming onto the market at the moment, which I actually don't have yet, which I do need to pick up and have a look at, which are tiny, a lot smaller than these, and still seem to have reasonable quality for the size, the output power and the antenna they come with. So I'll leave that one with you guys. It's just a quick one. Let me know what you think of these small radios. I personally think they're great. Drop me a comment in the box below. Let me know if you have any of these, what you think of them. Any questions, any comments, any feedback, any thoughts on these radios, drop it in the comment box below and I'll get back to you. Give it a thumbs up if you haven't already, and if you haven't clicked the subscribe button, make sure you click the subscribe button as well. And we'll catch you in the next one. 7-3 for now, guys. Thanks for watching.